Hey, everybody. Today for you, podcast number 81. Today's podcast is titled, These Three Things Are Sabotaging Your Efforts. Hey, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of your weekly Limitless Life Network podcast. I'm Dr. Pete Lombardi, and sitting next to me is my lovely, beautiful wife, Sandy Lombardi.
Hi, everybody.
And this is Limitless, where we flesh out the limitations that are preventing you from reaching your goals and living the life that you were called to lead. And today we have a really good, I think great topic to discuss. But I always want to start off by thanking you all for tuning in, listening, sharing some time with us. You know, I know time is precious, and to spend 20 minutes listening to this podcast, it means a lot to us because it tells me that you're getting something out of it because you're actually paying with your time by listening. So like, follow, share, hit the subscribe button, all those things that help push the algorithm and get our positive message out to more people. So we want to be positive and encouraging to help people out that need more positivity and encouragement. Okay, so on with the show. Let's get into this because I know people have things to do today, right? Okay, so today's episode titled "These Three Qualities are sabotaging your efforts." So we're going to hit on three qualities, but they are in 5 points. We kind of discuss this. And Sandy, you want to give the backstory a little bit where we got all this from?
Yeah, well, it's from our sermon at church on Sunday. Pastor John hit on this, so I don't want to give away all of our points yet. But we talked about binding and loosing and the authority that we have as Christians, and that we often don't walk in that authority. So that was the overview of the message. But
yeah, and I think that's really important to understand. You know, it's if you don't go to church, you know, find a church that inspires you and makes you think about life and makes you learn, and it causes us to learn. That's for sure. I couldn't be happier.
right, and teaches straight from the Bible.
Yeah,
so that it's
and that's it's
true.
So, you know, this content is not original from us. It came from our pastor who took it from the Bible. So, and this is not necessarily a biblical lesson. This is more a world application now that we're going to try to help you to apply it and understand how it fits into your life. And I think that's kind of one of our strong suits in how we help people with this. So anyway, the first point that we have is authority always trumps power. And he told I'm going to use his analogy because it was really good. And there's other ways we're going to apply it. But his analogy was, if you stand out in the middle of a highway and you're standing there and an 18-wheeler comes flying down the road, it's going to run you right over and squash you, right? Because that's power. But if you are a New York State trooper or wherever state you're listening from, if you're a state police and you stand out there with your hand up
and your badge is
and
on
you have
right?
your uniform on, the authority that you have with the organization that you represent, the state has given you the authority to stop traffic. That trumps power. So that powerful vehicle will throttle back. Okay, so how does that apply to you? I had a conversation today with someone who had to go speak to a doctor about something that made them very uncomfortable, and I won't get into the exact topic of it. And in that setting, the doctors seem to have all the power, right? But my friend had done a lot of research and had done actually more research than the doctor. So he was able to stand in authority and speak with confidence and clarity and not be pushed around or bullied by someone who thought they had power over him. And I think that's applicable to any of us, is that you shouldn't basically give up your authority just because you haven't done your homework, because you don't know your facts. And you're giving up something that you have the right to. And I think that's what our pastor was trying to get this through our heads, is that you have every right to stand in authority if you've done your homework, if you know the facts, if you know the truth. But you can't, when you become an expert in something, you can have authority. But when you dismiss that and don't try, then you just give up. You're forfeiting that authority.
All right.
Okay. So what's point number 2?
Point number 2, you don't have to accept losing as normal.
How would you describe that one?
Well, one of the points that Pastor made and we talked about before this podcast is illness, sickness, right? We weren't designed to be sick, but yet we accept that as normal. It's flu season, it's cold season, it's allergy season, whatever. We've got a season for it, so we think it's normal, but we were designed to be healthy, not sick. So let's stop accepting that, right? We don't want to accept losing as our benchmark.
Yeah.
And that could be in so many areas, not just health.
Yeah, I think health is a very clear one because we hear of it every year. It's put in your face that it's cold and flu season, right? That's a common one. And when you do that, now you have said, okay, well, it's not my fault. It's cold and flu season. Oh, it's the germs that did it to me. It's not my responsibility to keep my body strong, healthy, and robust because it's those kids that brought those germs in that made me sick. It had to be them, right? So we're very quick to maybe give up that authority and give up that control or that power. And that's an example of just accepting less than. And it's kind of sad because it's not just in our health. We often do this and out of ignorance, really. We don't even realize that we're forfeiting the authority. So that's, and you can see it, how it manifests in people's lives. And again, we're not pointing fingers at anybody, but when somebody has it all put together, they're really smart, right? They are very articulate. They have a command of knowledge. But yet there's a contradiction. Maybe they're really overweight. They've lost some authority because they don't look good. What if their hygiene is terrible? Like maybe they look great, but they smell horrible. They lose some authority, right? As soon as you start to have areas in your life that are in disarray, there's a level of authority. If somebody's going to get in your car, but you're a bit embarrassed because it's like a bomb went off in there and it hasn't been cleaned in years, you've lost a little bit of authority there. As simple as not making your bed in the morning, you've lost a little bit of authority there.
Yeah, it's the details. Do we pay attention to the details that are it's discipline too? That's a big part of it. Are you disciplined in all areas of your life so that you're putting your best effort forward?
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. That brings us to point number 3. What's 3?
Count your victories and not your losses.
And I think we've spoken on this before.
Most weeks, it's true, but we need to hear it over and over, not hanging back in the past, hanging out with those losses.
Right. So living in the past, ruminating on failures and mistakes, that's another way that we can forfeit our authority. Nothing pleases the enemy more than us remembering when we messed up. And nothing allows you to move forward when your focus is in the rearview mirror. It's really hard to get any type of, clarity on what's in front of you when you're always looking back and focusing on what you just ran over in the road, right? oops, but yeah, I've got 4,000 more miles to drive, but I keep looking back at the roadkill. That's not how you're going to proceed, right? That's a total loss of authority there. So that brings us to our point number
4.
4. So yeah, today, go ahead.
Disobedience and pride handcuffs our authority.
Okay, so what's an example of that?
I was saying that to me, one of the quickest ways to lose my, I guess, respect or for you to lose authority over me is for me to see you or hear you disrespect someone else, like gossip. It just is like a complete red flag to me, like that you might not be the person I thought I would be respecting. I don't know.
Well, you're not going to be led.
Right.
Right? Like that person may have some gifts or talents that they're really good at, but yet you're not going to really want to take advice from that person. You're not going to want to be led by that person. So
It kind of discounts to me like their, I guess, their authority.
yeah, for sure. So, and that it can come in a lot of different ways. It can come in the form of just shortcutting things, cheating things, not being truthful, which is called lying, right? Gossip is what you said. Any type of breach of trust. And one of my favorite quotes, I guess, or sayings that I've heard Jordan Peterson say is that as long as the truth is being portrayed and carried out and that I'm in truth, whatever the outcome is the best possible outcome, even if it's not the outcome that I desire. So, and that is that comes from a place of confidence, because it's not like you have the outcome is something that you're tied to. And we see this as a problem today in research, because research is oftentimes funded by somebody that's hoping to see a particular outcome.
Right.
And so therefore it's really hard to trust the research when the research, the outcome of that research is going to benefit the person or the organization that funded it. So if it's always benefiting them and their bottom line, it's a contradiction there. But if it's 100% truthful and we were to publish research that was paid for by an organization and it didn't help that organization, it's a lot more believable, right? It's a lot more credible because it didn't help them a bit. It might even have hurt them. But because they cared more about the truth, then you're like, you know what? I like that company, and you know what? I'm going to buy their other products because they put that level of truth into what they do. You know, all of a sudden they have way more authority over me than a company that is paying scientists off to do research so that it betters their outcome, right? So that spills over into our own life with our own level of pride, right? So if you're always looking out for your best interest, but you're not concerned with it being mutually beneficial for the other party, that's not really good. And I used to be in Rotary, and one of their things, they had this 4-way test thing. Is it, you know, I can't remember them all, but one of the 4 things was, is it beneficial to all those concerned? Like if you're about to enter into something and if you're asking yourself the question, is it the truth? Is it fair? Is it beneficial to all those concerned? Like, you know, that's a good litmus test to perform, because if it's only beneficial to you and it may hurt the other party, then it's not a good deal, right? And that's only going to come back against you to lose some of your level of authority.
Yep. Good point. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so point number 5. Let's tell me what point number 5 is. I like this word now. It's like my new word.
A stupor is no place to be.
A stupor is no place to be.
What is a stupor?
A stupor is, if you could think about somebody that's like walking around drunk, right? And they have no coordination and balance. They're in a stupor, right? So, well, that's an obvious thing, but imagine if you're in a stupor. What is it about when somebody's drunk? How's their balance?
Their balance is off. Their speech might be slurred.
Yes. So everything that's coming out of them is just not coordinated whatsoever, right? And there's not a lot of good conscious thought going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a stupor is that. It's like you have such a lack of awareness in something that your actions just are kind of pathetic. And it's really sad because this is where people lose a tremendous amount of authority because they're literally not making decisions because they're not even thinking it's a problem. They're not even, they don't want to be aware of it. They're just almost, I wouldn't say ignoring it, but it's just not even on their radar that it's even possibly a problem. Like you might be thinking, why is he picking on how clean my car is? Like, is that really a problem? How does that fit into me having any type of, authority? Well, yeah, you're maybe in a stupor in that one area that you don't realize that the level of satisfaction that brings you and the level of confidence that when your environment is clean, neat, and tidy, it literally lifts you up and it makes you feel like you've got your stuff together.
Mm-hmm.
And you may have other areas that need work. Maybe it's not the cleanliness and tidiness of your environment. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's your physical health that needs cleaning and tidying, right?
Right.
But if you're in a stupor, you'll find yourself walking around and saying things like, I know I should probably do this. I shouldn't. I know I should. I know I should. Right.
Yeah.
And if you find yourself saying these things, there's probably a bit of a stupor there.
Yeah.
You're in some type of stupor. It may be a spiritual stupor. That's one of the things that our pastor talked about, that many churches are literally walking in a spiritual stupor, that they're not even aware that their actions and their inactions, not making a stand on something, is a huge loss of authority.
Mm-hmm.
And if you see, like you go back to the whole COVID nightmare, churches that grew during COVID are the ones that stayed open. They're the ones that stood in authority, and they didn't let what the culture was doing interfere with what they were doing, what their purpose was. If we could keep other certain businesses and organizations open, like liquor stores, then we certainly should be able to keep churches open, right?
Yeah.
So that's an example of that. So hopefully that was helpful to you today. And anything else you want to add to this point number 5, the stupor? A stupor is no place to be.
Yeah, no, I can think of a specific example, but it might be that thing that you kind of keep claiming about yourself. Like, I don't know, it could be, I don't know. Well, weight is always, but like you're always speaking this negative thing over you. Like that's an area of stupor in a way. Like, stop claiming it or, acknowledging it and act on it, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the big takeaway here is stop giving energy to things that are limiting you. Mm-hmm. Stop giving energy to things that you just you're claiming that are just inaccurate. They're false. They're not what your potential really is.
Right. Well, you can make it basically true in your mind, right? Like, so stop doing that and
absolutely,
bring about the truth that, I don't know, biblically or holy that you should, be looking at. So,
yeah. Okay. Great. Well, that's what we put together for this week's edition of your weekly Limitless Life Network podcast. Be sure to tune in each and every week so you can stay connected, be inspired, and keep moving toward your best life by stripping away your limitations. We'll see you back next week.
Have a great week. Where's the music?
There's the music. I double clutched the button.
Didn't want us to sing.
Yeah, no editing. Totally unedited.